Moser. He's got a break, and Kochetkov with a poke check, but it's going to be a penalty as Moser hurtled into the boards. Tripping will be the call. But, Kochetkov showing that ability.
Man, they're going to call a penalty on the goaltender for a poke check. Same criteria, I guess, of a trip. If you get the puck, if you get the legs, too.
Has a 2-minute minor penalty for tripping.
Well, I didn't think it was tripping, but hey, it was tripping. Carolina's penalty kill just got to go out again and flex. Hi, everyone. It's the Canes Corner podcast. Actually forgot the name of the show for a second. We do so many different shows. Hi there, and we're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job. You should check them out for all of your exterior home improvement needs. AluminumCompany.com. You can't really tell. I don't know if you can see. We're digging in. This is the, what is it called? The Carpat? Where, Sebastian Aho's team in Finland. The Hurricanes win it 5-1, really without much from Aho and Svechnikov and Jesper Fast on Carolina's third forward line. Ha, 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 ha. Because when you got Jordan Staal's line going like this, 2 goals from that line tonight, and when you've got the Drury Necas Bunting line going like it's going. Pretty good stuff. A couple of assists tonight for Jack and Marty. Michael Bunting had a goal. Really good play by Necas. Not a great goal to allow by Karel Vejmelka. I think he was kind of fed up at that point. And, again, Jack played great. Carolina won damn near every faceoff. So great win for the Hurricanes. One that, look, you expect they have to have. Said it before the game. You play in Dallas, you play well but lose. Made too many mistakes, even though they did play well. It was the first good forechecking game in a while. Just didn't get enough offense out of it, where we've been there before. And you're going to Vegas tomorrow night. So this game you had to get 2 points out of it. Now, I'm not saying Carolina can't beat Vegas. I haven't seen a line for that. I'll be surprised if that is anything other than basically maybe Carolina plus 105, plus 110. Slight, very slight underdog. I wouldn't be completely shocked if both teams were minus money in that. If you understand money line at all. And Vegas is not playing the brand of hockey that they were playing at the very beginning of the season and that they were playing at all last year. They've been banged up. Defense hasn't been great. And goaltending hasn't been able to save them. They're not outscoring their problems. And they are missing some pieces. So we'll see. But they will be angry. Remember the last time Carolina and Vegas played in Raleigh, it was at one point 6-1 before Vegas scored twice quite late and made it look respectable. But that was a dominant Hurricanes performance then. I wouldn't call tonight's performance dominant other than Carolina did what they had to do and then kind of took their foot off the gas after it was 5-1. And I think it kind of showed in the shot table at the end because, honestly, for the last, I think Arizona had 10 shots on goal in the third period. But the really only difficult stretch of this game came in the last 10 minutes of the first period and the first 5 minutes of the second period, where I thought, this is going to get weird, isn't it? But that's when Pyotr Kochetkov was probably at his solid best. Now, we got into entertaining Kochetkov in the third period. God, the kid is fun. We don't need it to be this much fun. There were fun moments in the first. He did come out to play the puck that he didn't get out of the zone, and he had to actually make a save. We talk about going out and challenging at the top of your crease. Well, if you extend the top of Kochetkov's crease out about to the right top of the right faceoff circle, that's basically where he stopped Logan Cooley's shot. It was a good save. And then he scrambled back and got Matt Dumba later. It was absolutely hysterical. What you heard there was the poke check on, I guess it was J.J. Moser, who was just coming out of the penalty box and had a breakaway, and Kochetkov erased it. It's a bad call. It's not. I don't think that's tripping. I don't know what. Who knows? There was more contact on the penalty shot in Ottawa, but I understand that the two situations are different. Anyway, entertaining Kochetkov in the third period, but really good, strong play from him, really in the last 10 minutes of the first. Arizona outshot Carolina 16-15 in the first period. It was one of those periods where you go, man, this is fun. And Rod Brindamore goes back into the locker room and said, I hated that because there were way too many scoring chances for the head coach's liking. Way too many in the first period of that game. The teams combined for 15 grade A's, according to Natural Stat Trick, and 30 overall scoring chances. It was great. Fun. So we like fun. There's nothing wrong with having a fun period of hockey. So we'll be here for a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about the game and some other things tonight. And I'll try to pay attention more to the comments. Always I try to get to the comments, but then if I'm just scrolling through them, it's horrible podcasting. So let's start here, because the game was, honestly, Arizona's not there yet. You can tell they've got some pieces, right? Logan Cooley, Dylan Guenther, Casey Keller, Nick Schmaltz is a nice piece. I still have a hard time understanding why some Hurricanes fans like, go get Nick Schmaltz. He's okay. But we watched the game tonight. He doesn't make you go, oh gosh, somebody better find him. Logan Cooley, on the other hand, Guenther, I think, is going to be a nice player. So there's some good talent on that team, but they got to be better in their own end, which they're not very good. They got to be better in goal. We did see, who was the kid? Connor Ingram, who played in Raleigh, was great in that game. That was a Dmitry Orlov goal. But he was hurt, so we didn't see him tonight. Karol Vejmelka, who played one game against Carolina a couple of years ago, maybe it might have been last year, in a shutout, and he hasn't played well against Carolina since. So they're just not very good. So they're now 3 points under NHL 500, and you get there for a reason. So this was a game that Carolina was always going to win as long as they played well, and they played well tonight. I wouldn't call this as a vintage performance, but it was good enough. They'll need to be better than this in Vegas to come away with anything, let alone a win. Just to get a point, you have to be better than you were tonight, because especially in that stretch in the first period, Carolina was just a giveaway waiting to happen. And there's no way Vegas is going to let some of those opportunities slip by. And Vegas is also better defensively, so you're not going to get, because Carolina, they were good offensively, but I don't think they were great offensively tonight. The Teravainen power play goal was nice, although I bet that same play doesn't happen against Vegas because their net front coverage is so much better. The Bunting goal probably doesn't go in. The Jarvis goal is a Jarvis goal. It's a freak occurrence. Puck bounces off of Schmaltz's skate, goes right to Jarvis, who didn't settle it. He just ripped it over the shoulder of Vejmelka. Vejmelka, I think, got a piece of it. The first 2 goals were just, that's where Carolina probably played their best hockey, honestly, in the first 5 to 8 minutes of the game. But the 2 goals came in the first 5 minutes. Good play by Brady Skjei to get a quick shot on net, and Vejmelka couldn't handle it cleanly, and Martinook was there right away to roof it for 1-0. Then Necas comes in with speed. He's going to try a wraparound. His wrap chance doesn't go really on net. It just goes right through the crease, right to Jalen Chatfield on the back door from a relatively sharp angle, but not crazy sharp. He just punches it into an open net. It's 2-0. We played 4.5 minutes. Dmitry Orlov had a great chance to make it 3-0. There were a couple of other chances. Aho, Fost had some good chances to make it 3-0. Neither of those go. And then when the Dylan Guenther goal happens, you're thinking, because Arizona's already kind of dragged the game back into their favor. I actually thought, based on the last 10 minutes of the period, it would have been easy to say that, man, the Coyotes might have been better than Carolina in the period. It wasn't the case because Carolina was so dominant in the first 5 to 10 minutes that it took a while for Arizona to catch up on the shot sheet. And I don't think they ever did quite catch up. Although shots on goal they did, but shot attempts they didn't. Carolina had way more puck possession than Arizona, even in the period. But the last 10 minutes, I thought the Coyotes were super dangerous. If Kochetkov doesn't play as well as he did, then we might be looking at a completely different outcome. And that's really the biggest story of the game for me, is that the third straight game, Kochetkov has been really, really good. And we talked about the stretch of games here before the deadline being in many ways the evaluation period. We know Carolina's going to have to bring in, I shouldn't even say have to. You'd like to see them. Who knows? Because there's every chance that they won't. You'd like to see him bring in another goalie. But they have to use this period to determine what type of goaltender they need. Do they need somebody to play, or do they simply need an insurance policy just in case all hell breaks loose? And those are two different things, because they're not going to invest in, like, I'm not saying they're interested, but 2 number 1 goaltenders, or 3, if you will, I'll throw another one in, that are available, who can play every day, basically, in a playoff series. If you need them to, UC Saros, Jacob Markstrom, John Gibson would all take a major investment in money to pay these guys here, not only this year, but in future years. And also there would be a lot of capital going back the other way, whether it's players off your roster or draft picks. And I'm not saying that the Hurricanes would be interested in that, because I'm pretty sure that they aren't. But if they don't need, like, bona fide a number 1, then your needs are obviously different. So you can look at a different level. You can look at a Jake Allen. You can look at potentially a Marc-Andre Fleury if he wants to, if he's willing to do it. And Fleury doesn't have to play. He's got to play some, and you can certainly use Fleury as a backup, but it all depends. Really does depend. Right now, if you were putting, odds on the Hurricanes acquiring a goaltender, regardless of what type, I would say 25%. 25% chance that Carolina acquires a goaltender. And maybe we'll get into some, well, probably not, since it is late. But Kochetkov was good. Again, third straight game. And the weird thing is that if you go all the way back to Vancouver, other than the lazy, the second and third goals, you don't want to see those. The third goal more lazy, second goal more didn't really challenge it. And then the inexplicable one at the end of the first period against Colorado. Other than that, it's now been 5 games since the break. Kochetkov has started all 5, played all but 1 period of the 5. And I think other than a couple of, maybe let's just say 2 bad goals and 1 goal you'd think he should have had out of all the goals he allowed, which isn't a lot, that's 5 pretty good games of hockey for a guy who we still have some doubts about. Not in terms of his long term, but in terms of his, can you do this now? On top of that, Frederik Andersen practiced yesterday, skated before. There was no morning skate today, but he skated today. And my guess is, I don't know they won't skate in the morning tomorrow. And I don't know if Freddie Andersen will work out on the ice tomorrow. But when the Hurricanes get back to town, I'm sure they will not do anything Sunday. They'll have a morning skate on Monday, and Freddie will probably skate in the morning. So it's good to know that Andersen is potentially going to be back in, let's just say, what is today, the 17th? 3rd, 4th, 5th of March. Give him maybe a couple of games to evaluate, a game to evaluate before the deadline. Look, if he's given a clean bill of health, if he's ready to go, if they've got the blood clotting issue under control, then it's only about conditioning. He's not coming back from an injury. Carolina's goaltending situation might be okay. And who knows, maybe the kid will deserve to play more. We'll see. They'll earn it. Once we get into, mid-March into April, and we're trying to win a division, it's going to be merit-based. Then once everything is secured, whether you win a division or you're not going to win the division, and look, the Rangers are still 6 points ahead of Carolina, and the Hurricanes only have 1 game in hand, so there's no guarantee that you're going to catch the Rangers. So if there's no reason to push it, then you're just going to keep both guys sharp, and you'll alternate those two until the playoffs start, and then you'll choose. I mean, could be Freddie, but it all depends on how Kochetkov plays. Because when you get to the playoffs, the best guy has to go in game 1. Whoever earns game 1, I'll just use this example because nobody thought it would be the case until it was the case. And I know Alex Nedeljkovic had a great year, but for the most part, the opportunity was there because Peter Mrazek was hurt. And Mrazek did eventually come back and played reasonably well, if I recall. But ultimately, when Rod started the playoffs, he started with net. And then he played, even though Nedeljkovic allowed not a great goal that beat him in game 1, the kind of goals you can't allow. I think it was the sharp angle shot where he got his skate caught in the net and couldn't cover the post well enough. But then he got the start in game 2. He allowed another bad goal in game 2. That was the end of Alex Nedeljkovic with the Hurricanes, because the Hurricanes really didn't have upstairs didn't have great faith in Nedeljkovic. As it turns out, I think they were wrong. I think Ned's a pretty good goalie. He might not be a number 1, but he is certainly a more than capable number 2. And if you have a number 1 that isn't going to play 60 or so games, if he's only going to play in the neighborhood of 55, I think Ned can be your number 2. I think he is easily good enough. All right, I've wasted enough time talking about goaltending. Drury, Bunting, Necas. It's pretty good again tonight. They were the best line in Dallas, even though they didn't score, but they were the best line. And they were the best line tonight. And I know Tripp's talking about the chemistry with Drury and Bunting and Necas, and that's fine. I think Jack Drury kind of is chemistry. he's really a very easy guy to play with. He's usually in the right spot. He's not super big, so he's not going to really clear out space, but he's smart. He knows where to go with the puck. He's responsible defensively, which that line needs because you've got two wingers who are not great defensively. Necas better than Bunting. But I thought that line had the puck a lot. And so, I mean, good for them. And good for the Hurricanes because they needed somebody to be, the best line tonight because for the second straight game, it wasn't Aho, Svechnikov, and this time Jesper Fast. Yeah, on what was it? Tuesday it was Aho, Svechnikov, and Teravainen. So Rod flipped Teravainen and Fast, and I think the Aho line had some good moments here and there. I think their play, they had a shift that probably turned the game around at 2-1 in the second period. Heavy shift, chances, and then the next shift, Carolina still really had possession of the puck, or was at least in the Arizona defensive end, and there was a line change, and Staal came on the ice, and Jarvis came on the ice, and ultimately Arizona coughed the puck up at their own end. It bounced right to Jarvis, who converted the shot for a goal. So I thought that line was great, and the Staal, Jarvis, Martinook line continues to be outstanding. Staal, and I guess it was Martinook really, combined for the 2 goals that Carolina had in Dallas. And they got the first goal tonight. Quick shot from Skjei, and then the rebound try from Martinook was good enough. Carolina, 2 of their goals tonight on rebounds, right? The Teravainen goal and the Martinook goal. The Chatfield goal was a shot attempt that never was on target. It just kind of slid through the crease, and Chatfield was backdoor. So, Carolina did they did it the right way tonight. And it wasn't necessarily a heavy forecheck game, but they did it the right way, and that's always cool to see. Penalty kill, what do you say? 4 for 4? I think they're 15 out of their last 15. It's an elite unit. They got good goaltending on it. They got a really good crossbar that Lawson Krause nailed early in the second period on that power play that started the frame. The power play went 1 for 2. So if you're watching this live, wherever you are, if you're in Australia, this probably doesn't work for you. If you are in Alaska, this probably doesn't work for you. If you're in Ireland, this probably doesn't work for you. Free Bowberry biscuit until 10 o'clock tomorrow. My dog loves Bowberry biscuits. Let's see. From Steven. Seen a rumor floating around online originating from hockey writer Elliot Friedman that the Canes may be in on Saros in exchange for Necas. Thoughts? I don't think it would just be that. I said this earlier about a number 1 goaltender. Look, if they ended up coming out of the trade deadline with UC Saros, I'm on board with it because Saros can win a Stanley Cup. He is good enough to be the number 1. The only problem there is you've got Frederik Andersen and Pyotr Kochetkov under contract next year. Now, you could, I'm sure, this offseason flip Saros because Saros has 1 more year left at $5 million on his contract. So you could probably flip Saros. My feeling, though, is that I don't think the Hurricanes are going to be I don't think it costs just Marty Necas to get UC Saros. I think it costs more than that. Saros is a number 1 goalie. I don't think you're getting him for Necas, who is going to cost a team anywhere from $5.5 to $7.5 million if he's, around 70 points. And Necas is starting to pile up points. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get to 70, but he's going to get to 60, 65. And if he's that, with his speed and his talent, also arbitration eligible, and remember he had 71 points last year, that you're just not getting him cheap. So I don't know if that whole trade makes sense. Look, it's going to take more to get Saros, I believe. And I do think there will be other teams involved. If it just costs, an incredibly talented player, but if it just costs a player, I think there will be a lot of other teams involved. But I think it's going to cost players, or a player, a draft pick, and a prospect. And if I were the Hurricanes, I understand that we all have our frustrations at times with number 88, but I think they're going to ride this out a little bit longer with him. I don't know if they're going to ride it out next year with him, but I think they're going to ride it out longer with him now. And I actually think that they're going to take Necas into the playoffs and just see what happens. If he has a good playoffs, I think they'll consider signing him. I do. The way he's playing right now, that's a guy you keep, because that's a guy, I think, depending on how much he costs, and that could be a problem. But on a scoring line, surrounded by good, responsible players, that's probably a guy you keep. As young as he is, because who knows? As long as he doesn't get too fancy and perimeter-wise, and he's fancy all the time because that's the way he plays. But as long as he's not trying to be too finessey, there's a lot there. So not that you're not. Certainly it would be great to get a number one goalie, but I don't see Carolina doing that. I really don't. Let's see what else. Necas can't be trade bait if we want to make a legit Stanley Cup run. Sure he can. It would be better if Nashville wanted somebody else. But I actually think that you wouldn't trade Necas unless you got somebody who can score back. You don't have tons of pure offensive players. So that's my feeling on that. Samuel, Aho and Svech need to step it up. Yeah, agreed. It's 3 games in a row back where they've been quiet, and Rod won't stick with that very long if it doesn't, reignite. But they had moments in the game. They really did. They had 3 or 4 really good shifts in the game, including one in the second period that probably turned the game around because Arizona at that point was still playing at a high level. And the Aho, Svechnikov, Fost shift that actually created a couple of scoring chances, that line kind of flipped it, and then Staal and Jarvis came on the ice for the Jarvis one-timer goal, thanks to the mistake by Arizona in their own end. So I think Staal, Aho, and Fost had moments. I'd like to see that line go out there again. I like Fost playing with good players. I think he helps good players. He is great at digging pucks out of corners. He's great at extending zone time. And by the way, Svechnikov is great at that too. And when that happens, you have better chances to score. Let's see. What will Jarvis's next contract look like? Yes, he is young. It will look like, I don't think they will sign an 8-year deal with Jarvis yet, because this may not matter to anybody, and I'm not sure it's that significant. Jarvis's agent and Aho's agent are the same. My guess, based on what I know about these negotiations, is that both sides probably look at this as short-term deal better for both. Look, if the Hurricanes could get Jarvis at 8 times 6.5 right now, they'd do it. But would you do that if you were Seth Jarvis? I wouldn't. So I think this deal is more likely to look like, I'm trying to remember the exact numbers when Braden Point signed a 3-year deal when he was an RFA. And Braden Point is also repped by the same agent. Jerry Johansson is his name. I think you could see the Jarvis 3-year deal. Let's just say 3-year contract, 4.5, 6.5, 8.5. And you do it that way, it's a 6.5 AAV. That's your cap hit. You do it that way if you're the agent, because the last year, that's the qualifying offer. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I think it'll be a short-term deal. Maybe just getting into the numbers is not a sport thing. So, but yeah. And by the way, these are all questions we should probably handle another time. But the truth of the matter is that when we get to June, or let's just say July, and let's hope we're still coming down off a high. If you look at the lineup, holy cow, do they have decisions to make. What do you do with Teuvo Teravainen? Jordan Martinook. Let's just stop right there for 1 second. Jordan Martinook. How important is he to this team? Very. The culture of the Carolina Hurricanes is very much Jordan Martinook. I'm not saying he's responsible, but the culture that they've created suits Jordan Martinook. I think he is as much a priority as almost anybody else this offseason. I think Jarvis, Chatfield, Nason, because I don't think he'll be that expensive. Martinook. Yes, Pesce and Skjei and Teravainen, and I'm sure there are others I'm forgetting, but yeah, Jordan Martinook's got to be re-signed. Just has to be re-signed. Do I think Boone Jenner, we'll have to close on this. Do I think Boone Jenner would be a good center option for them? Yes, I do. I think Boone Jenner would be an outstanding center option for them. Off the top of my head, I do not know what Boone Jenner's cap hit is. Let me see if we can find that really quickly. And then I will shut this all down. Boone, that's an interesting ad. Excuse me, Cap Friendly, get that ad off my phone. Let's see what Boone Jenner is. Boone Jenner with 2 more years left on a contract at $3.75 million. Yes, I think that would be a great add to the team. They just need to figure out what would have to go the other way to Columbus. Yeah, I think it would be great. I think Boone Jenner is the kind of a player that would really fit nicely into how Carolina plays. He's got some grit and grime to his game. He can score some goals. He's got good leadership. He's the captain of Columbus. But to be honest, I don't know. I don't know what it would cost to get him. But 2 years left of the deal sounds more hockey trade-ish to me, and I know that's what they like. All right, so with that said, We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. Sammy Hanner's crew do a great job. Siding, roofing, windows, entry doors, storm doors, gutter helmets, you name it, they got it. And we'll have Spencer Martin in goal tomorrow night. I'm positive against the Vegas Golden Knights. And this Canes Corner podcast live on YouTube will originate at around late 10:30 start. Yeah, if we get to this by 2 o'clock, I'll be thrilled. Thrilled, don't you know? Maybe we get to it at 1:30. I don't know. But until then, subscribe, like, rate, review, do whatever you can. Because the more you do that, the more, I don't know, I smile. The more the social media people and the podcast people at the radio station tell me, hey, it's doing great. And I like when they do that. So you do your part, I'll do mine. And we'll see you all Sunday morning, very, very early. Good night.